download the app. And while the Temu app offers something for everyone on your Christmas shopping list, what it delivers is far more sinister. Today, my office is announcing that we have sued the Chinese shopping platform Temu and its parent company PPD Holdings for some of the worst violations of the Arizona Consumer Fraud Act that I have ever seen during my tenure as the Attorney General. Temu's popularity skyrocketed in recent years, and in 2023, it was the most downloaded app in the United States, with users spending almost twice as much time on the app as on the platform Amazon. During the 2024 Super Bowl, Temu aired advertisements for the largest television audience of the year, urging viewers to, quote, shop like a billionaire, as the cartoon avatar filled customers' homes with $10 toasters and $6 skateboards. For families struggling with high inflation and overall high prices, it promised cheap goods at prices that for most were irresistible. But Temu is more than just a major online shopping platform. Over the past year, privacy experts have raised a host of concerns related to security and privacy issues with Temu and its predecessor app, Pinduoduo. News outlets and privacy experts have conducted their own investigations of the Temu app and its source code, and concluded that the app contains multiple hallmarks of spyware and malware, and engages in practices that are not necessary for a shopping app. My office has also conducted a forensic investigation that revealed that the Temu app is designed to collect sensitive user data without the user's knowledge or consent, and is purposely designed to evade detection of this type of data collection. Our complaint alleges that Temu collects a shocking amount of sensitive data on its users. This data includes GPS location. They can track everywhere you go, lists of all other installed apps on a user's phone so they can see every app that you have on your phone, the cellular data and Wi-Fi networks of the user's phone that the user's phone is connected to, as well as all Wi-Fi networks that a phone detects wherever it goes. Temu has also collected this data from minors under the age of 18 without the consent of those minors' parents. This data collection happens without the user's meaningful knowledge or consent. Beyond failing to disclose the depth and breadth of the data it collects, Temu actively works to prevent this conduct from being detected. The app is even able to go so far as to edit its own code once it has been downloaded to a consumer's phone, potentially allowing it to exploit the user's personally identifying information and other data, or to otherwise control the user's device in unknown and unknowable ways. If it sounds Orwellian, it's because it is. And of course, compounding these risks greatly is the fact that Temu is a Chinese company, mandated by Chinese law to cooperate with the Chinese Communist government's intelligence apparatus. In other words, it can be reasonably assumed that Temu is illicitly collecting data from Arizona users and sending it to the Chinese Communist government. If this wasn't bad enough, the Temu app is awash in products that infringe upon or simply copy outright the intellectual property of American businesses, including iconic Arizona brands like the Arizona Cardinals, ASU, the U of A, as well as Fender Guitars and Ping Golf. The company also misrepresents the quality of its merchandise. Users frequently receive low quality, cheaply made items when the photo on the app indicates that they will receive high quality goods. In fact, photos and descriptions on the app are simply copied from other sellers on sites like Amazon, bearing no relationship to the goods actually being sold on Temu. Users also frequently report that orders go undelivered, and Temu offers poor customer service for those who do try to rectify an order gone bad. One Arizona consumer ordered an air conditioning unit for approximately $300. When the consumer unboxed the air conditioning unit to have it installed, they realized partway through the installation process that the unit did not include a critical electrical wire connection to connect the power line. The unit could not function without that electrical wire connection part, and the part was not available from any source other than as part of the air conditioning unit. Despite the missing critical part, Temu refused to accept a return of the defective product or provide the consumer a full refund because, according to Temu, the consumer only realized that the air conditioning unit was missing the critical part outside of Temu's internal after-sales service period. Temu also deceives consumers through price misrepresentation by engaging in what is called false reference pricing. False reference pricing occurs when a retailer represents to a prospective customer that a product is on sale at a steep discount, for example, by providing two prices that the customer can compare to each other, a former list price or a manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP, and a supposedly reduced current price, when in reality the full price is inflated or was never real to begin with, while the discounted price is merely the product's regular or market price. For these reasons and more, we are taking Temu to court to protect Arizonans' privacy, enforce our state's consumer fraud laws, and stop Temu from its illegal actions in the state of Arizona. We're seeking restitution for Arizonans that have been harmed by Temu, for Temu to disgorge all profits it obtained as a result of its unlawful action, and civil penalties of up to $10,000 for each willful violation of the Arizona Consumer Fraud Act. And now I'd be happy to take some questions, but before we do that, I think we'd like to play a couple of videos of some consumers who were, as they say, Temu'd. Doesn't that go any louder? I don't know. There we go. There we go. We're working on it.
Come with me to find out if I've been Temu'd. I ordered these Christmas decorations. Let's see what they look like. I mean, I think I've been Temu'd by TikTok. I don't know what this is. I think I'm supposed to put this in a pot and put it outside. I'm gonna be honest, this does not look great. Okay, so I'm supposed to stick it in a pot, pretend it's real tree. too bad. I'm gonna get rid of my pumpkin. Don't tell my husband I paid for that.
All right, so let me show y'all how cheap we got me. Now, I got this cane, and I wanted to order me as well. This is what I ordered. Look how it is. It's got, oh, it's long, boy, I'll tell you what, it's covering the couch. Oh, it's gonna set the cane off nice. This is what's showing up. What in the first day of literally, YMCA, Creases, Holy Football Prayer Rug is this crap. Y'all got me on that one.
Okay. Last thing I wanted to mention, do we want to try to do the last one? Or I don't know if we can. That's okay. Last thing I wanted to mention, and this is contained in the complaint that we have filed this morning in Superior Court, is that we believe and we allege, and others have alleged, that many of the products that are supplied by the 80,000 suppliers or retailers in China that go through Temu, many of those products are actually made by forced labor, and in particular the Uyghurs, the minority Muslim community in parts of China that are being allegedly being forced to produce these products in camps, in work camps, and that is in our complaint as well. Something that certainly Arizona consumers should be made aware of, and that is obviously unacceptable in this country. So with that, I'd be glad to take any questions that you have, Barbara.
Yeah, well, first off, what has been Temu's response? What have they been saying has been Temu's response? Have they even tried to even make a semblance of trying to rectify the complaints?
Yeah, not to our knowledge, I'd say there hasn't been much of a response. I would say I'm not the first Attorney General to bring this case. I am the first Democratic Attorney General to bring this case. There are three Republican AGs in Kentucky, Arkansas, and Nebraska that have brought this case against Temu. So we'd have to see what their response is to them. But to your point, there have been numerous complaints by consumers about Temu, not just to our office, but to the Better Business Bureau as well. So it's something we know is a serious problem. And then, as I mentioned, our forensic experts have done an analysis of this app and found that it does indeed contain what you would consider spyware or malware. So essentially, this Chinese-based company is spying on every Arizonan who has installed it. And I want to, for those who are concerned about Temu and those who are concerned about what it's doing to their phones, I do want to talk about what you can do to rid yourself of it if that's your choice. What we advise is delete your account first. So first, delete your account, uninstall the app, and use an antivirus software to scan for any malware that could be on your phone. You may also want to consider a factory reset of your phone. So those are the things you can do if you've got Temu on your phone already. Yeah, Wayne.
You explained the restitution you're seeking a little bit. Can you explain which of those specifically target the spyware allegations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too soon to say how much restitution we'll be seeking, but I think it would be related to the spyware. I think it would be related to the misrepresentation of the goods. It would be related to, a number, I mean, pretty much all of the allegations that we've made, we would be looking for restitution associated with it, and then civil penalties and disgorgement of profits.
In terms of what the lawsuit would do, if successful, to stop that spiral.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the most, obviously we want to get money back for people who've been damaged by Temu over the years, but for me the most important thing is to stop them, and so the injunctive relief that we're seeking is incredibly important. I want to stop this spyware in the state of Arizona. You know, the courts have been very clear that Arizonans and Americans have a right to privacy in their phones. And frankly, you know, this is how we live our lives, for better or for worse, is often through our phones. And this is a company that has installed malware and spyware on our phones that has the ability literally to track everywhere you go and to track everything, almost everything that you do on your phone. And so when you think about the invasion of your privacy that is going on through this app, it can detect other apps on your phone. It can detect everywhere you go, to a doctor's office, to a public library, to a political event, to your friends' houses. So the scope of this invasion of privacy is enormous, and that's why I consider it possibly the gravest violation of the Arizona Consumer Fraud Act that we have ever seen in Arizona.
VPNs are not effective. We can bypass that.
What's that, Barbara?
VPNs.
No, I mean the pernicious thing about this spyware and this app is that, you know, once it's on your phone, it can actually edit itself, and it so that it can evade detection, and it can also detect when someone else is trying to figure out what it is doing. So it's the first app that I know of that can actually morph itself once it's installed on your phone, and so that's one of the reasons that it's just so hard to get around, and why we are recommending that you just get rid of it if it's already on your phone. And then over here.
So you're filing this lawsuit against Temu. Is it against Shane as well, or just one?
Shane, so far just Temu. You know, I know that there have been concerns lodged about Sheen as well, but to our knowledge, there's no evidence so far that Sheen has engaged in the kind of spyware, malware, and widespread misrepresentations that we are alleging Temu has. But I would also say, if you feel like any other app has deceived you or violated your rights, we want you to file a consumer complaint here at our office. So we'll be watching other apps like Sheen going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, two questions. One on the IP piece. As you know, it's really hard to serve a foreign defendant, and sometimes they have very complicated ownership structures to evade service and also just evade liability. So thank you for bringing this suit on behalf of the Arizona business owners. What advice would you give to Arizona business owners who have found that they have counterfeit items on this platform or others, and what's the best way to report that?
So great question. We would really like to hear from any Arizona business owner or consumer who has received counterfeit items or suspects that they've received items that they didn't order. Report that to my office, please. That can become a part of this lawsuit. It's important also in terms of getting restitution back to folks. So if you're a business, you've ordered products off of Temu and it wasn't what you ordered, it's defective, you haven't been able to get your money back, because that is clearly happening, please report that to us so that you can be one of the victims that we can get money back to. Really important in these kinds of cases where a big part of the lawsuit is getting restitution back to people.
No, absolutely. And my second question is with the data privacy. It seems pretty egregious. Do you see Arizona legislating in that area in terms of enhancing data privacy measures?
Yeah, great question. I would love to see legislation in this area. I think it's something that the legislature should take up this session. It's just insane that this has been allowed to happen. And, Montana, the question is, how do you go about addressing this? The state of Montana just flatly banned Temu, and that's how they addressed it. That's obviously one end of the spectrum, but you could think about other ways that you could ban the way that Temu is operating on phones, such as banning them from or engaging in the malware, engaging in the spyware. We're obviously attacking this using the Arizona Consumer Fraud Act. It's a great act to be able to do that with, but I would love to see the legislature heighten privacy laws, and we would certainly be interested in talking to them about that. So we'll come down here and then
Could you
Stacy.
just reiterate the other 3 states that have filed similar suits?
So it's Arkansas, Nebraska, and Kentucky, all Republican states.
Can you say more about the forensic investigation that your office conducted, like length of time, to the extent you can talk about it? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we've hired outside experts. That is not something that it's not expertise that we have inside the office right now. We do have some, obviously some experts who can do this kind of work, but this is really highly technical work to be able to detect Chinese spyware. So we've been working on this case for at least 6 months, maybe longer. It may be more like 9 months. And we obviously noticed the complaints that we were receiving inside the office. We keep a close watch on what the Better Business Bureau is seeing as well. And then I started hearing about it in AG circles as well, and noticed that those AGs in the other states had done the case. So, yeah.
Just a follow-up, sorry, Frank.
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever bought anything on Temu, or has your daughter?
That's a great question. No, I have not, and my daughter has not. I think maybe she has bought something on Shein, but luckily we have not downloaded Temu. And I don't know. I mean, who knows why? But it's ill-advised. That's for sure. So, Craig, yeah.
You spend a lot of money on Super Bowl ads.
Enormous amounts.
Which, when you would think of a Super Bowl ad, you would think they're reputable.
Yeah.
What happened from 24 when they were blasting Super Bowl ads to now December of 25 when things have gone so wrong?
Well, I think it was going wrong then too. I mean, there's no doubt this has been going on for a couple of years, and maybe more, because Pinduoduo pre-existed Temu, and then sort of essentially morphed into Temu. So I'm glad you mentioned the ads. The ads themselves and we mentioned this in our complaint. One of the issues is the fact that they are hoovering up the private information of minors without the consent of adults, minors certainly under the age of 16, 13 even. And many of the advertisements are clearly targeting minors that Temu is running. And some of them are highly sexualized ads, and the British authorities have been cracking down on that. But when you look at these ads, they're clearly targeting kids, and then they are using ads that are even sexualizing minors and women, objectifying women, and then finally they're advertising on Temu smoking devices, cigarettes, and other illicit devices, including drug paraphernalia, that children can easily get access to if they just download the Temu app. So it's literally wide open in terms of what kids can access on this app, and it's very disturbing.
Some of the concerns you raised are reminiscent of some of the controversy we heard around another Chinese app, TikTok, recently. I mean, is it to the same level of what we were talking about with TikTok? Is this more egregious? I mean, should this controversy that we saw around TikTok start to be happening around Temu as well, from what you've been able to tell?
Yeah, I think it is more egregious than TikTok in a number of different ways. Although there are hallmarks in the TikTok debate as well, right? That it's a Chinese company, and as a Chinese, well, until possibly soon, obviously there's supposed to be the divesting of the company to another owner, TikTok. But there's hallmarks between TikTok and Temu in the sense that they're Chinese-owned companies right now, and the Chinese Communist Party and government of China has laws mandating that companies based in China provide any and all information that they gather on these sites to the Chinese Communist Party and Chinese government if they ask for it. And that's detailed at length in this complaint, how that works. So, but in terms of the scope of the practices by Temu, the misrepresentation of products, the mispricing of products, the use of forced labor for its products, the greenwashing that Temu is engaged in. I didn't talk about that earlier, but that's a factor here as well, and it's in our complaint. I think and the level of spyware and malware by Temu goes far beyond anything that TikTok has ever been accused of.
In that case, do you think that we should see some kind of federal intervention like we saw with TikTok, and have you had any conversations, or have you been made aware of any interest by the federal government to address this?
I do not know of any interest by the federal government to address Temu at this time. So, yeah, right now it's up to the AGs.
Do you think that we should have some federal intervention?
I mean, it probably. I mean, it would be the most effective way to address this instead of doing it state by state, right? And I guess I should add a fourth state to that because Montana has banned it. And now a fifth, Arizona, is addressing it. But yeah, it would be probably preferable for Congress to take this up, cover the entire country, protect the entire country against these abuses, because if I'm successful, those 4 other states are successful, that's just covering the citizens in those states and the people in those states. Whereas if Congress were to act, we could cover the entire country. It's just that Congress doesn't seem to be capable of doing much lately. So.
Is it the same risk with the app and online?
Yes, it is. On the computer, I think it's the same risk. So if you've downloaded onto your computer any device that you have downloaded it onto, I guess the only possible lessening of the risk if it's on your computer is you're not taking your computer with you everywhere unless you are. I think one of the chief concerns that we have with this app is that it's on your phone and it is spying on you everywhere you go. And I think that's something that most Arizonans need to know about, and most Arizonans deserve to know about, that this thing is spying on you, and you have a right to decide whether or not you want it on your phone.
Yeah, just to think about, I guess, the universe of victims and the restitution you're seeking here. Is it solely people who purchase things off of Temu, or you mentioned like the universities, there's rip-offs of their merchandise on
Yeah, no, I think we'll be seeking restitution for universities, for any company, including Ping and Fender Guitars that has had their intellectual property ripped off. So we are trying to protect Arizona-based businesses that are being ripped off by Temu. The other thing that's interesting and has been alleged by several folks, several other entities, and we do talk about in the complaint, is that it would appear that the app is capable of also spying on its competitors by knowing what other apps you are downloading and what you are doing with those apps. So it's so pernicious on so many levels, because they are literally able to see what you're doing with Amazon or with some other, or with Etsy, or with some other app that might be a competitor to Temu. Greg, yeah.
Can I switch gears for a second?
Sure.
The governor talked about this yesterday. It's an issue you've talked about before. Where are you at on cracking down on the ESAs and trying to get Superintendent Warren to stop allowing all purchases of $3,000 to go through?
Yeah. So we have been conducting an investigation since your story broke about why Tom Horn has allowed purchases below $2,000 to go unvetted on the front end, which clearly is what led to some parents using that money on diamond rings, lingerie, and flat screen TVs, when it should have been used for educational purposes and when it's taxpayer dollars being spent. We have been in what I would call regular contact with Tom Horn's office. We have made multiple visits to his office as a result of your reporting. We are looking at potential public monies violations by both Tom Horn and the parents who used the money in that way. And we continue to urge Tom Horn to make the reforms necessary to stop those expenditures. And so what I would say is litigation is not off the table, but we are really pushing him hard to make reforms that would prevent that misspending of taxpayer dollars.
Can I ask you to speak more about that? That's quite a thing to say. If I heard you right, you just said you are investigating and considering suing the superintendent of public instruction.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I mean, that statement stands. I mean, this is we are categorizing this as a public monies investigation. No public official is allowed to permit taxpayer dollars to be misspent. And I think there are real serious questions about whether allowing $2,000 to be spent on lingerie and diamond rings is a misspending of taxpayer dollars. I mean, obviously, it's a misspending of taxpayer dollars, and so, there are, whether you're the superintendent of public instruction or you're the people who actually use the money in that way, you've got to be, concerned about enforcement of the law. And I'm the top law enforcement officer of the state of Arizona. It's my job to do these kinds of investigations. I'm proud of the reporter in this room who's been doing this work, but it needs to be more than that, and it needs to be stopped. And quite frankly, if this legislature, this session, doesn't fix this problem, then we just have Republican leaders who are not serious about stopping the misspending of taxpayer dollars. I mean, it would be insane, in my view, for this legislature not to put a stop to this. And that includes increasing the number of auditors at the Department of Education. That is obviously one thing that Tom Horn has said that he needs more of. But it also includes him not allowing that money to go out the door before it's been vetted at all. And I just think that's incredibly important. And I would add, I think it's incredibly important for all the parents, most of the parents who are using ESAs right now, and especially the parents of children with autism who were the original beneficiaries and reasons for having this program. They don't want to see this program collapse because of corruption. And that is a very real possibility of this if this corruption continues.
Good time for one or two more.
Yes.
So corporate espionage and just foreign espionage of IP has been a huge problem, especially for product brands. I want to touch back on a point that you made that the app is also tracking behavior and data from other applications on their phone. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
And are they collecting potentially sensitive business information on those apps that would, could lead to potential IP theft in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very clear possibility given the fact that this spyware is capable of editing itself on your phone. I think there's a very real possibility that it could be spying on other companies on your phone. So that's why I said there's an unknown and maybe unknowable factor here, where we really need to continue to dig deeper into this app and this spyware to figure out exactly who and what it's spying on, and what it is exfiltrating out of your phone that is not only your data, but potentially is the data of other businesses, given how much e-commerce happens on our phones. It's a great question.
One more.
I just wanted to check in on your office's review of the EPM. I mean, yeah, what does that look like? And I guess how are you taking note of the maybe changing legal landscape with elections?
Do you have a more specific question than that? I mean, are you talking about...
Yeah, we just have had some court rulings that kind of changed the provisions, so I just was curious how you're working with the governor's office.
Yeah, I mean, I think we continue to work well with the governor's office, with Secretary Fontes. Our office is active on reviewing the EPM. There have been some issues arise related to the formation of this independent party. And I expect that there's going to be some action on that down the road. I don't want to speak to it per se too much, but I guess watch that space. But I think right now we feel very comfortable with the EPM, and we feel very comfortable with the ability of our county recorders and counties to carry out elections. Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Good to see y'all.